I just won 5 million at the casino, but I am not sure if I make it home tonight. The cocktail waitress disappeared the second the machine hit jackpot. I watched her red uniform vanish through the crowd, moving with purpose that made my stomach clench. My name is Devin Ashford, and 90 seconds ago I was up 3,000 playing progressive slots at the Pinnacle Casino in Atlantic City. Now the screen showed 7 golden pyramids and $5,200,000. The machine went silent after the initial alarm. People gathered around pointing and whispering, but no casino staff appeared. When someone hits a jackpot this big, management usually swarms within seconds. I'd seen it happen twice before. This time, nothing. Just me frozen in my chair while strangers crowded closer, and the waitress who'd known my drink order without asking had vanished like she never existed. Something felt wrong. The security cameras pointed directly at my machine. They had to know. But still, nobody came. I thought about my overdue rent, the collection calls I'd been ignoring. 5 million would solve everything. But first I had to collect it, and the longer I stood here alone, the more certain I became that something was very wrong about this situation. A man in a dark suit finally appeared. Silver hair, unreadable face, name tag reading Thomas Wicklow, casino floor manager. He didn't smile or congratulate me. He leaned close. Mr. Ashford, come with me right now. Don't make a scene, don't tell anyone about this win, just follow me. His hand gripped my elbow, steering me toward a door marked, staff only. The crowd watched as we walked quickly past blackjack tables and roulette wheels. Wicklow's grip never loosened. We entered a hallway with fluorescent lights, completely different from the glamorous casino floor. He led me to a room labeled Security Operations and knocked twice. Someone buzzed us through. The room was filled with monitors showing camera feeds, 3 security officers at consoles. They all turned to look at me. Nobody looked happy. The atmosphere felt tense, almost hostile. Wicklow gestured to a chair. Before we process your payout, we need verification. How long have you been playing tonight? I tried to remember through the blur. Maybe 6 hours? Got here around 7? He made notes on a tablet. How much did you start with? The honest answer made me look desperate. I'd come with my last $800, rent money, thinking maybe I could catch up on bills. $800, I said. One security officer exchanged a glance with another. You've been playing primarily slots? I nodded. Just slots. Different machines in the same area. That was true. I'd been working through progressive machines near the back, down to my last 100 when I hit. Wicklow looked up with those unreadable eyes. Mr. Ashford, I need to be direct. We've been monitoring your play tonight. There are irregularities we need to investigate before authorizing payout. Standard procedure for wins over a certain threshold. You'll need to stay here while we complete our review. The word irregularities sent ice through my veins. What kind of irregularities? I didn't cheat. I just played normally. Wicklow held up a hand. I'm not accusing you, but surveillance flagged unusual patterns that require verification. Legal requirement for large payouts. He gestured to a security officer who pulled up video. I watched myself on screen, sitting at various machines over several hours. The timestamp showed my progression, and I could see the cocktail waitress making multiple trips with drinks. The officer froze the video about 2 hours ago when she'd leaned close to speak. I remembered vaguely. She'd asked if I wanted whiskey instead of beer, said it was on the house. But watching now, I noticed something. She glanced up at the camera above us before walking away, almost like confirming something. Wicklow pointed at the screen. This woman served you 7 drinks over 3 hours. 5 beers, 2 whiskeys. Do you remember feeling impaired? I thought carefully. The drinks had been spread out, and I'd been focused on the machines. Not really. I felt relaxed, but not drunk. The security officer spoke with a New Jersey accent. Mr. Ashford, we tested the glasses. The drinks contained significantly less alcohol than standard pours. Some were non-alcoholic despite being labeled beer or whiskey. I stared at him, confused. Why would the casino serve weak drinks? Isn't the goal to get gamblers drunk? Wicklow and the officer exchanged another look. Finally, Wicklow spoke, more serious. Mr. Ashford, that waitress doesn't work for the Pinnacle. Her uniform is a replica. She's not in our employee database. We've been trying to identify her since you hit the jackpot. The implications crashed over me. Someone posing as staff, serving me specifically, keeping me sober, and she disappeared when I won. I don't understand. What does this have to do with my payout? I didn't know she wasn't real staff. Wicklow sat across from me, almost sympathetic. In the past 6 months, we've had 4 other major jackpot wins. Progressive slots, all over 3 million. And every time, the winner was served drinks by someone matching this woman's description in the hours before their win. He pulled out his tablet, showed me 4 photographs. 2 men, 2 women, various ages. Recognize any of these? I studied them carefully. All strangers. No. Should I? The security officer leaned forward. These are the 4 previous winners. Mr. Ashford, none of them made it home to collect their winnings. They all died within 24 hours of leaving the casino. Their beneficiaries never received payouts because of suspicious circumstances. The room felt airless. I looked at those faces again, trying to understand. What happened to them? Wicklow's voice went grim. First was a schoolteacher from Philadelphia. Won 3.2 million, died in a single car accident 3 hours after leaving. Police said she'd been drinking, but our records showed weak drinks from the mystery waitress. He swiped to the next photo. Retired contractor. Won 4.1 million, died of apparent heart attack in his hotel room. Medical examiner found traces of a drug that induces cardiac arrest. The third and fourth followed similar patterns. Fall down parking garage stairs. Accidental overdose with no drug history. Every death ruled accidental or natural. We reported suspicions to police, but they're treating each as separate. No evidence linking them beyond the casino. People die after winning all the time. Heart attacks from excitement, drunk driving, but we know something else is happening. Wicklow showed footage of the fake waitress leaving earlier. She walked calmly through the crowd, past security, out the front doors. She moved like someone who knew where cameras were and didn't care. We think she's part of a crew targeting high-value winners. They identify potential big payers, monitor them, then eliminate them after they win but before they can secure the money. Theory is, they have access to winners' personal information, enough to forge claims or redirect payouts to accomplice beneficiaries. I felt physically ill. So if I leave, someone's going to try to kill me? Wicklow nodded slowly. We believe you're at serious risk, which is why you need to stay here under security protection while we work with law enforcement. Officer Patricia Vance, a woman with short dark hair, moved closer. Mr. Ashford, we've contacted the FBI. They're sending agents but won't arrive until morning. Meanwhile, you'll stay in a secure room upstairs under guard until federal agents take over. I tried to process everything. An hour ago, I was broke, hoping to pay rent. Now I was apparently targeted by murderers. Can't you just void the win? If I'm not a winner, I'm not a target. Wicklow shook his head. The win is legitimate. We have no legal grounds to void it. And these people already know you won. They've probably been monitoring casino systems. Backing out wouldn't make you less of a target. Vance added. Plus, voiding might tip them off that we know. Right now, they think they're undetected. That's our advantage. I stood abruptly, needing to move. What about my family? My girlfriend lives in Newark. If they have my information, couldn't they go after her? Wicklow's expression darkened. What's your girlfriend's name? The question felt loaded. Simone Delacroix. Together 8 months. She's a nurse at University Hospital. Vance immediately started typing, fingers flying. After a moment, she turned to Wicklow, concerned. Simone Delacroix is listed as emergency contact in Mr. Ashford's player rewards profile. Address matches Newark. She's also listed as beneficiary for any unclaimed winnings. I didn't remember setting that up, but I'd filled out the rewards application years ago without reading carefully. We need someone at her location immediately, Wicklow said. If this crew follows their pattern, they'll identify anyone close who might interfere. He turned to me. When did you last speak to Simone? I checked my phone, and my stomach dropped. 15 missed calls from her, all in the last 30 minutes. Several texts, each more urgent. First, Devin, call me right now, something's wrong. Second, there's someone outside my apartment. Police won't come. I'm scared. Third, sent 5 minutes ago. They're inside. Please help. I showed Wicklow, hands shaking. He immediately barked orders to Vance, who grabbed a radio calling for backup to Simone's address. But I knew we were too late. Whatever was happening had probably already happened. These people moved fast. They'd had a 30-minute head start. Wicklow grabbed my shoulder. Devin, focus. Has Simone ever been to this casino? Would they think she knows about your gambling? I tried to think through panic. No, never. She thinks I'm at a work conference in Philadelphia. She doesn't know I gamble. I kept it secret because she lectures me about being responsible with money. The radio crackled with response from Newark units. Fragments of conversation about apartment door open, signs of struggle, no victim on scene. My legs went weak. Vance ended communication and turned to us grimly. Newark PD reports apparent burglary. Furniture overturned, belongings scattered. No sign of Ms. Delacroix. Her purse and phone were in the bedroom. Neighbors heard shouting 40 minutes ago. I felt bile rising. They took her. Because of me. Because I won money. Wicklow was already moving. We're taking you upstairs now. Vance will coordinate with Newark PD and FBI. If they have Simone, they'll use her as leverage. We can't let that happen. We moved through staff corridors, taking an employee elevator to the 22nd floor. 2 more armed security officers joined us. Nobody spoke during the ride. The room Wicklow led me to was some kind of executive suite with reinforced doors and no exterior windows. Originally designed as a safe room for high-value guests needing protection. I barely registered the expensive furniture. My mind stuck on Simone's apartment torn apart, her phone abandoned. Officer Rashid Monroe positioned himself outside. Officer Dennis Holland stayed inside with me. Wicklow made calls about federal jurisdiction and witness protection. I sat on the leather couch and tried calling Simone's number pointlessly. It went to voicemail. Hearing her greeting made something crack in my chest. This is my fault, I said. I came here trying to fix money problems. Now Simone's been kidnapped because I won. Holland sat across from me, sympathetic. Mr. Ashford, you didn't create this. These are criminals who've been operating for months. If not you, some other winner. But his words felt hollow. Simone was still missing because of her connection to me. Wicklow finished his calls. Devin, FBI is expediting response. Special Agent Lillian Cross is flying from Philadelphia. Should be here in 2 hours. Meanwhile, think carefully about interactions tonight beyond the fake waitress. Did anyone else approach you? Seem unusually interested? I tried replaying the evening. There was a guy at the machine next to mine earlier. Asian guy, maybe 30s, wearing a Yankees cap. He made small talk about progressive jackpots, said he'd been trying to hit one for years, but that seemed normal. Everyone talks about wins and losses. Wicklow immediately gestured to Vance, working on a laptop. Pull surveillance from around Mr. Ashford's location between 7 and 9. Look for Asian male, 30s, Yankees cap. See if he appears in other footage, particularly near previous victims. Vance's fingers flew across the keyboard. After several minutes, she found it and called Wicklow over. They studied something, both expressions darkening. That's him, Vance said, pointing. Same guy in the casino on 3 of the 4 previous jackpot dates. Different clothing each time, but facial recognition confirms it. And look at this. She pulled up another clip showing the man having a brief conversation near the casino entrance with someone whose face was turned away. But when she shifted position for just a moment, I recognized her profile. The fake waitress. Wicklow straightened, jaw tight. They're working together. Whole crew. Waitress identifies and prepares targets, keeps them sober and monitored. Guy in cap establishes contact, builds rapport, gathers intelligence about personal lives. Then after the win, crew moves in. He turned to me. Devin, what exactly did this man ask you? Every detail. I closed my eyes, trying to recall. He asked if I was from the area. I said Newark. He said Jersey City. Asked what I did for work. I told him data entry. Asked if I was married. I said no, but had a girlfriend. He made some joke about not telling her I was at a casino. Maybe 5 minutes total. Wicklow swore. He extracted everything needed in one casual conversation. Hometown, occupation, relationship status. Enough for them to find Simone through social media or public records. The guilt crashed over me harder. I'd given them everything to target Simone without realizing I was being interrogated. What do they want? They can't collect my winnings just by kidnapping my girlfriend. Vance looked up. In previous cases, the crew waited until winners left to strike, made deaths look accidental, then exploited chaos around unclaimed winnings to insert fraudulent beneficiaries or forge claims. But you're still here, still alive, and we know about them. They're adapting. Wicklow nodded. My guess is they'll leverage Simone to get you out of the casino into a vulnerable position. They can't strike here because security's too tight. But if they lure you out under pretense of exchanging you for Simone, they can eliminate both and still work the beneficiary angle. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Everyone went still as I picked it up with trembling hands. The message was short and terrifying. We have Simone. She's alive for now. You have 2 hours to leave the casino alone and meet us at the location we send. Come with police or security, she dies. Try to hide, she dies. This is not negotiable. Below was a photo of Simone in what looked like a warehouse. Hands zip-tied, face bruised and terrified, holding today's newspaper to prove the photo was current. I showed Wicklow, who had Vance start tracing the number and analyzing the photo, but I knew what I had to do. I couldn't let Simone die because I was hiding while FBI mobilized. These people had killed 4 times and evaded law enforcement for months. If I didn't cooperate, they'd murder Simone and disappear. I'm going to meet them, I said, voice steadier than I felt. Wicklow immediately shook his head. Absolutely not. That's what they want. They'll kill both of you. I stood up, strange calm settling over me. Maybe, but if I don't go, they'll definitely kill Simone. This way she has a chance, and maybe your people can follow. Set up rescue. Holland moved to block the door, hand on his sidearm. Mr. Ashford, I can't let you leave. It's for your protection. I looked at Wicklow, appealing to whatever compassion existed. Thomas, I'm not asking permission. I'm telling you what I'm going to do. Either help me do it in a way that gives everyone the best chance, or I'll find my own way out. Silence stretched before Wicklow finally spoke. If we do this, we do it my way. Completely coordinated with law enforcement. You wear a wire, follow instructions exactly, don't try to be a hero. Goal is keeping you both alive long enough for tactical teams to move in. Vance protested immediately. Wicklow, this is insane. FBI hasn't arrived. We're sending a civilian into a hostage situation with active murderers. This breaks every protocol. But Wicklow silenced her with a look. I'm aware of protocols, Patricia. I'm also aware we've followed protocols 4 times already and ended up with dead winners and unsolved cases. Maybe it's time to try something different. He turned to me, expression mixing determination and resignation. Devin, once you walk out, I can't guarantee your safety. These are professionals. They'll expect surveillance and have countermeasures. The odds aren't good. I thought about Simone in that warehouse, terrified because I'd won money. The odds had never mattered less. I understand. Tell me what to do. Over the next hour, Wicklow and his team worked with Atlantic City Police to set up soft surveillance. I was fitted with a nearly invisible wire transmitting audio to a mobile command post. Officer Monroe used specialized makeup to conceal a tiny tracking device behind my ear, explaining it would let them follow my location, even if I was moved. Detective Teresa Lombardi from ACPD arrived and grilled me about every detail of the man in the Yankees cap and fake waitress. She explained FBI Special Agent Cross was en route, but authorized them to proceed under her remote guidance. My phone buzzed again with another message. This time, an address in an industrial area about 15 minutes from the casino. Come alone. Park at North Entrance Lot. Walk to Building 7. You have 90 minutes. Clock is ticking. Lombardi studied the address on her laptop. That's the old Hammond Steel Complex. Abandoned for 10 years. Multiple buildings. Lots of places to stage ambush or hold hostage. About as bad a location as they could pick. Wicklow checked his watch. We need to move now to get surveillance teams positioned before Devon arrives. Patricia, coordinate with ACPD on placement. I want eyes on every entrance. Detective Lombardi, what's FBI's play? Lombardi's phone pressed to her ear, speaking with someone, presumably Agent Cross. After a moment, she lowered it. Agent Cross authorizes with significant reservations, concerned about tight timeline and limited prep, but agrees refusing engagement puts hostage at imminent risk. She's scrambling hostage rescue from Philadelphia, but they won't arrive for 2 hours. We're on our own until then. Monroe tested the wire one more time, having me speak normally while monitoring audio quality. Crystal clear. Just remember, try to get them talking. More they say, more intelligence we gather for prosecution. The unspoken assumption was, there would be a later, that somehow this would end with arrests rather than bodies. I didn't share their optimism. Wicklow walked with me to a service elevator down to the parking garage. The 2 security officers flanked us, weapons visible. Devon, I need to be honest, Wicklow said as the elevator descended. In all my years in casino security, I've never seen an operation this sophisticated or ruthless. These people have resources beyond typical criminals. I don't know who they're working for, but this is bigger than just stealing jackpots. I looked at him, trying to understand what he wasn't saying. You think there's something else going on? Wicklow nodded slowly. 4 jackpot winners dead in 6 months, all at the same casino, all similar circumstances. Statistical improbability alone suggests something systematic, and they've been able to forge beneficiary claims and collect millions without triggering serious law enforcement attention. That means connections, maybe inside financial system or even law enforcement. You need to be prepared that the people you meet aren't just killers, they're part of something much larger. The elevator opened to the parking garage. My car sat in a well-lit spot near the exit. Holland handed me my keys. Drive normally. Don't speed. Don't run lights. We'll have unmarked units maintaining loose surveillance, but you won't see them. Trust we're there. I got in my car, hands shaking as I started the engine. The parking garage exit led onto Atlantic Avenue, straight shot through the city to the industrial area. I pulled out slowly, checking mirrors more from habit than expecting to see surveillance. The streets of Atlantic City at midnight were moderately busy with weekend gamblers moving between casinos. I drove through in a daze, struggling to accept this was happening. The industrial area appeared after 10 minutes, marked by chain-link fences and dark buildings with broken windows. Hammond Steel Complex took up several acres, a maze of deteriorating structures. I found the north entrance parking lot exactly where indicated, empty, cracked asphalt illuminated by a single streetlight. My headlights swept across the lot as I pulled in, revealing nothing but weeds and scattered debris. I parked with clear view of the buildings and checked my phone. Nothing. Silence broken only by my cooling engine tick and distant traffic. Building 7, according to GPS, was the large structure directly ahead, walls covered in graffiti, loading dock doors rolled shut. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves, and spoke quietly, knowing the wire would pick up my voice. I'm here. Parking lot, north entrance. No sign of anyone. Monroe's voice came through the tiny earbud. Copy that. We have you on visual from 2 positions. You're clear to proceed when ready. Remember, get them talking. I got out, leaving keys in the ignition like instructed. If things went bad, having to search for keys could cost critical seconds. The night air was cold, carrying salt from the ocean and rust from decaying steel. Every shadow looked like potential threat, every sound like approaching footsteps. I walked toward Building 7, shoes crunching on broken glass. The main entrance was a rusted metal door, hanging partially open, darkness visible beyond. This felt like every horror movie where the audience screams not to go inside, but I didn't have a choice. Simone was somewhere in this complex, and my only hope was walking into whatever trap waited. The door scraped against concrete as I pushed it fully open, sound echoing through what appeared to be a massive empty factory floor. Some light filtered through gaps in walls and ceiling, enough to make out industrial equipment covered in dust. Hello? I called out, voice sounding small. I'm here. Where's Simone? For several seconds, nothing. Then a voice from somewhere above, amplified through speakers. Mr. Ashford, so nice of you to join us. I trust you came alone as instructed? The voice was male, probably the guy from the casino in the Yankees cap, though speaker distortion made it hard to tell. I'm alone, I lied. Where is she? I want to see Simone before we do anything else. A spotlight suddenly illuminated a section of factory floor about 50 feet ahead. Simone was sitting in a metal chair, arms still bound, face pale in harsh light. She was crying, and when she saw me she screamed my name, sound echoing painfully. Devon, don't! It's a trap! They're going to kill us both. 2 figures stepped into light beside her, both wearing ski masks and dark clothing. One held a gun to Simone's head, while the other pulled out a phone, showing it to a camera I could now see mounted on a tripod. They were recording everything. The voice came through speakers again. As you can see, your girlfriend is alive but understandably distressed. Now comes the interesting part, Mr. Ashford. You're going to transfer your jackpot winnings to an account we specify. The casino has cut you a check that you can mobile deposit. We'll wait while you complete the transaction. My stomach dropped. I don't have the check. They wouldn't give it to me because of security investigation. Payout is frozen pending FBI review. The silence felt dangerous. Finally, the voice spoke again, anger creeping through distortion. That's unfortunate. The whole point was acquiring your winnings with your voluntary cooperation. If you're telling the truth and funds are inaccessible, then you and Ms. Delacroix have become worthless to us, which presents a problem. The figure holding the gun pressed it harder against Simone's temple. She sobbed louder. I raised my hands, placating. Wait, the casino said they could release funds with my authorization. I can call them right now. Get them to process payout immediately. Just don't hurt her. The voice laughed, cold sound making my skin crawl. Mr. Ashford, we've been monitoring Pinnacle Security Communications for months. We know they're outside right now. We know you're wearing a wire. Did you really think we wouldn't prepare? Everything happened at once. Lights went out completely, plunging the factory into darkness. I heard Simone scream, then gunfire, 3 rapid shots echoing deafeningly. I dropped to the ground instinctively, ears ringing, unable to see anything. Monroe's voice crackled in my earbud. Shots fired, all units converge now. More gunfire erupted from multiple directions. The people holding Simone weren't the only ones in the building. There was a whole crew, and they'd been waiting for police response. I crawled forward in darkness, trying to reach where I'd last seen Simone, calling her name desperately. My hand touched something wet and warm on concrete, and terror spiked. But then I heard her voice close by, whispering my name. Devon, I'm here. I'm okay. They cut my zip ties when lights went out. I found her in darkness and pulled her close. Both of us huddled behind industrial machinery. All around, shouting and gunfire as police engaged the crew. Chaos was total, muzzle flashes providing brief glimpses of figures moving through darkness. Monroe's voice came again. Devon, if you can hear me, stay down. Hostage rescue entering from east side. Identify yourself if you hear them. We stayed pressed against machinery, Simone shaking uncontrollably. I whispered reassurances I didn't believe, promises we'd be okay. This would be over soon. Gunfire gradually decreased, replaced by shouted commands and sounds of people being taken into custody. After what felt like hours but was probably minutes, flashlight beams swept across the floor and I heard someone calling my name with authority. Devon Ashford, this is Special Agent Lillian Cross, FBI. Can you respond? I shouted back that we were behind the machine near center of floor, and within seconds tactical team members in full gear surrounded us, helping us up and ushering us toward east entrance. Outside, the parking lot had transformed into command post with police vehicles, ambulances, what looked like half the law enforcement in Atlantic City. Agent Cross met us at the ambulance where paramedics checked Simone. She was stern-looking, 40s, with sharp eyes assessing everything. Mr. Ashford, Ms. Delacroix, I'm very glad you're both alive. That operation went sideways in every way possible, but outcome could have been worse. She explained 4 crew members had been taken into custody, including the fake waitress and the man in the Yankees cap, whose real name was Kenneth Roth, a former casino security consultant with organized crime connections in 3 states. Wicklow appeared from the chaos, looking exhausted, but relieved. Devon, Simone, I'm so sorry it went down like this. We had no idea they'd be that prepared. I was too drained to be angry. Did they say why? Why kill winners instead of just robbing the casino directly? Agent Cross pulled out a tablet showing what looked like a financial spreadsheet. It wasn't just about jackpot winnings. Your name, along with 4 previous victims, appeared on a list we recovered from Roth's phone. The crew was being paid by someone else to eliminate specific individuals who happened to be frequent casino gamblers. Jackpot wins were coincidental, but provided perfect cover. Make it look like robberies when really it was targeted assassination disguised as crime. I stared at the spreadsheet, trying to understand. Someone wanted me dead specifically? Why? I'm nobody. I work data entry and barely make rent. I don't have enemies. Agent Cross's expression was grim. We're still investigating why, but the who is interesting. The account paying Roth traced back to a shell corporation with ties to Harmony Dynamics, the company you work for, or rather, worked for, before they quietly laid off your entire department 3 weeks ago. The words hit like a physical blow. I wasn't laid off. I'm still employed. I was just there on Friday. Simone grabbed my hand, voice weak. Devon, you got an email last month about departmental restructuring. You showed it to me. They were eliminating your position effective end of this month. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and opened work email. There it was. Official notice I'd received 4 weeks ago, informing me my position was being eliminated as part of downsizing. I had absolutely no memory of reading this. Agent Cross watched my reaction carefully. Mr. Ashford, we believe your coffee at work was being dosed with a mild amnesiac drug, causing short-term memory issues without obvious symptoms. Harmony Dynamics has been under investigation for stealing proprietary data from competitors and selling to foreign buyers. Your department handled sensitive file transfers, and apparently you stumbled across evidence without realizing it. Rather than risk you reporting, they decided to eliminate you in a way that wouldn't draw attention back to the company. The implications crashed over me. My gambling problem, financial desperation, even my relationship with Simone, all exploited by people who wanted me dead for reasons I barely understood. The 5 million jackpot hadn't caused tonight's nightmare. It just accelerated a plan already in motion. Wicklow shook his head. So casino victims were actually targets of corporate assassination? Gambling was just cover? Agent Cross nodded. We're still piecing it together, but yes. Harmony Dynamics identified employees who knew too much, tracked their gambling habits through data brokers, then hired Roth's crew to eliminate them in ways that looked like gambling-related violence. Brilliant from a criminal standpoint. Bodies at casinos just look like inherent risks of that environment. I thought about the faces in those photos Wicklow had shown earlier. 4 people who died simply because they'd worked for the wrong company and gambled occasionally. What happens now? Agent Cross gestured to tactical teams still processing the scene. Now we dismantle both operations. Roth and his crew face federal charges for multiple murders and conspiracy. Harmony Dynamics will be raided by morning. Everyone involved in the assassination scheme arrested. As for you two, you'll be in protective custody until we're certain there are no remaining threats. And Mr. Ashford, you'll need to testify at multiple trials. Simone, silent through most of this, finally spoke. What about the 5 million? Does Devon still get the jackpot? Wicklow actually smiled. First genuine humor I'd seen from him. Yes, the jackpot is legitimate. Once legal proceedings resolve, probably in 6 months, full payout will be released. Though I suspect after tonight, Mr. Ashford might want to stay away from casinos for a while. I looked at Simone, her face bruised, eyes still scared, and felt complex mix of guilt and gratitude. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I came to the casino trying to fix money problems and nearly got you killed. She squeezed my hand, voice fierce despite exhaustion. Devon, you didn't know. You were being poisoned and manipulated by criminals. None of this is on you. You saved my life tonight by walking into a trap knowing you'd probably die. That's not the action of someone at fault. Paramedics insisted we both go to hospital for evaluation. As they loaded us into an ambulance, I watched Agent Cross and Wicklow coordinating with their teams, processing a crime scene sprawling across multiple buildings. Sun was starting to rise over Atlantic City, painting the sky orange and pink that seemed wrong somehow, too beautiful for a night containing so much violence. In the hospital, while doctors checked us over and police stood guard outside, Simone and I finally had time to process everything. She explained the men who'd taken her had been professional and efficient, not cruel, but absolutely clear resistance would be fatal. They'd driven her to the warehouse and waited for instructions about what to do with her. We talked through the night, processing trauma, making plans for a future that would involve witness protection and lengthy legal proceedings. At some point, exhaustion overtook us, and we fell asleep in hospital beds pushed together, holding hands across the gap. I woke to find Agent Cross by the window, typing on her laptop. When she noticed I was awake, she closed it and approached. Mr. Ashford, wanted to update you before Media Circus begins. We raided Harmony Dynamics at 6 this morning. 17 arrests so far, including CEO and most executives. Evidence links them to not just your case but at least 8 other suspicious deaths over 2 years. This will be the largest corporate murder conspiracy prosecution in decades. I tried to process that. The other people in my department? Are they safe now? Agent Cross nodded. We've contacted all of them and offered protection. Most had moved on to other jobs and weren't aware they'd been in danger. You were the last name on the elimination list, which is why the casino operation was so aggressive. They were trying to close out their contract. She explained Roth had made a deal for testimony against Harmony Dynamics executives who'd hired him. He'd admitted the crew had been conducting surveillance on me for 6 weeks, waiting for opportunity. The jackpot win had been unexpected, but welcomed, because it provided perfect motivation and cover for murder. Over following days, I gave statements to dozens of law enforcement agencies, FBI, state police, Atlantic City PD, prosecutors from multiple jurisdictions. Each interview covered the same ground from different angles, and each time I had to relive walking into that warehouse expecting to die. Media coverage was intense. My face appeared on every news channel, identified as casino winner who'd uncovered murder conspiracy. Reporters camped outside the hospital and later the safe house where we relocated. Some coverage portrayed me as heroic, others as reckless. All ignored the fact I'd just been trying to survive. Wicklow visited the safe house about a week later, bringing documents related to jackpot payout. Casino has expedited your payment given circumstances. Once you sign these, money transfers to an account of your choosing within 48 hours. After taxes, you're looking at roughly $3.2 million. I stared at papers, thinking how different my life would be. No more worrying about rent or bills, but the money felt tainted, connected to the worst night of my life and deaths of 4 others who'd been less lucky. The previous victims, I asked Wicklow. Did their families ever receive their winnings? Wicklow's expression turned sad. No. In each case, beneficiary claims filed by Roth's crew were still processing when victims died. After suspicious circumstances, Casino froze all payouts pending investigation. Those families lost loved ones and never saw a dollar. I looked at Simone, who seemed to understand without me saying it. She nodded, and I turned back to Wicklow. I want to split it. Keep enough to get stable, pay off debts, maybe buy a modest house. Give the rest to victims' families. They deserve something after what they went through. Wicklow looked surprised, then respectful. That's incredibly generous, Mr. Ashford. I'll work with Agent Cross and the casino to make that happen. Legal proceedings dragged on for months. Roth and his crew all took plea deals for testimony against Harmony Dynamics executives. Corporate trial was a media spectacle dominating headlines for weeks, exposing conspiracy that resulted in at least 12 confirmed murders over 3 years, all disguised as accidents. I testified for 2 full days, walking the jury through everything from the casino night to the warehouse confrontation. Simone testified as well, describing her abduction and hours spent tied up, listening to captors discuss whether killing her immediately would be more efficient than using her as leverage. Jury deliberated less than 4 hours before returning guilty verdicts on all counts for all defendants. Simone and I used a portion of jackpot money to relocate to Portland, Oregon, far from Atlantic City and Newark, and all associated memories. We bought a small house in a quiet neighborhood, nothing fancy but ours. I found work at a non-profit helping people manage gambling addiction, using my experience to counsel others who'd found themselves in over their heads. The irony wasn't lost that winning $5 million had led me to dedicate my life to helping people avoid casinos, but it felt right, like something good had come from the nightmare. Simone went back to nursing, finding work at a hospital near our new home. She still had nightmares about the warehouse, and I occasionally woke in panic, convinced I was back in that factory darkness hearing gunfire. We started couples therapy and individual trauma counseling, slowly working through psychological damage that lingered after physical injuries healed. A year after that night, we married in a small ceremony attended by close friends and family. Agent Cross came, having stayed in touch as legal proceedings continued. Wicklow sent a gift with a note saying he'd implemented new security protocols at casinos across the country based on lessons learned from our case. The 4 families who'd lost loved ones received their portions of the jackpot, roughly $600,000 each after my expenses and taxes. I met with each family personally, wanting them to know their loved ones hadn't been forgotten, that something good emerged from tragedy. Their gratitude was overwhelming, and several said the money would allow them to finally move forward. 2 years after that night, I was invited to speak at a conference about organized crime and corporate corruption. Standing at the podium before hundreds of law enforcement professionals, I told the story of how a desperate gambling trip led me into a murder conspiracy. I talked about warning signs I'd missed, manipulation I'd been subjected to, and pure chance that kept me alive when 4 others had died. I walked into Pinnacle Casino thinking my biggest problem was $800 I couldn't afford to lose, I concluded. I walked out having won $5 million and nearly losing my life. The money changed my circumstances, but that night changed who I am. I'm more cautious now, more suspicious, more aware the world contains people who will kill you for reasons you'll never understand. But I'm also more grateful, more present, more committed to using whatever time I have to make a difference. The applause felt surreal, but I understood my story represented something larger, a cautionary tale about vulnerability and exploitation, about how quickly ordinary life can transform into nightmare, and about the importance of paying attention to patterns even when they seem insignificant. Simone and I eventually started a foundation using remainder of jackpot money, focused on supporting victims of workplace exploitation and corporate crime. We provided legal assistance, counseling, and financial support to people harmed by employers who valued profit over human life. It felt like the right way to honor the memory of 4 victims who hadn't survived, to turn their deaths into something that might prevent future tragedies. Looking back now, 5 years after that night, I can see how every piece of my life was reshaped by those hours between hitting jackpot and being rescued from the warehouse. The person I was before, naive and trusting and reckless, died in that darkness. What emerged was someone harder but hopefully wiser, someone who understood luck cuts both ways, and surviving something terrible creates an obligation to help others avoid the same fate. I still think about that moment when I first saw the 5 million number on the slot machine screen, that surge of euphoria lasting maybe 30 seconds before everything started unraveling. If I could go back and choose not to play that machine, would I? Some days the answer is yes, but other days, I think about Simone alive and safe beside me. I think about the 4 families who received money honoring their loved ones. I think about dozens of Harmony Dynamics employees saved when the conspiracy was exposed. And I realize sometimes the worst nights of our lives contain seeds of the best things we'll ever do. The jackpot was real. The danger was real. But so was the choice to turn something terrible into something meaningful. And that's the win that actually mattered. If you're still here, you're a true fan. Show some support with a like and subscribe to catch the next one.